Well, hello, and welcome to American Myth. I have made only two videos on this channel, and I want to talk about kind of the destruction of Western civilization through the destruction of our Western myths and our mythology. And that's been in celluloid. I mean, modern mythology is told through the silver screen. There's something magical about sitting in a large, dark room with other people and looking up at a big, giant screen and seeing a visual narrative with sound and wonder play out in a movie theater. And what we're seeing, and really this, to me, this began, well, to me, the canary in the coal mine would have been Indiana Jones' Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But that was more of wacky hijinks and just doing a silly story. But I don't think there was anything malicious about it. But we fast forward to 2015, Disney acquires the Star Wars franchise, and then the subsequent films following The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and then The Rise of Skywalker drove those characters that we loved and knew into the ground, pummeled it, punched punched it down, and utterly eviscerated the legacy of those characters. Now enters James Bond. Daniel Craig, the most recent actor to play James Bond. In this newest installment, the last film, Bond 25, No Time to Die. So, what is the message of No Time to Die? Well, apparently there is time to die because Bond is killed off in this movie in the most ridiculous, silly, wussy way ever. Other people have said this is off brand. I agree. But let me add something to this that maybe other people won't take and won't go this far with it. And what that is the message. The message is, hey, look, if you can't touch people you love, physically touch them, then there's no reason to live. If you can't physically interact with them, there's no reason to live. Incredibly poor taste considering we're coming out of a pandemic where millions of people have died, and who knows how many people were cut off and isolated from family members who had to die alone, separated by a viewing glass, weren't allowed to enter the hospital, weren't allowed to enter the room or the COVID wards. And their family members died because of complications from coronavirus or the pandemic. So instead of getting an uplifting message, hey, there's hope in the future, all this that should be in a Bond film, Bond is an adventure film. He's suave, arrogant, clever, highly intelligent, adaptive, and can get out of perilous and deadly situations. But in this movie, he doesn't do that. He stands there and waits for a cluster bomb to blow him up and kill him because he realizes he's been infected with a nanobot virus that targets the DNA of his family members, that being his girlfriend and his daughter that he has over the course of the film, that he only finds out in the last third of the movie, last half or third portion of the film. But let's talk about some of the plot holes, okay? You can even see in the trailers, too. So he meets up with Blofeld to get answers after his dear friend Felix Leiter dies. Okay, and that was really, to me, the only impactful death. When I was in the theater and people saw Bond get blown up, and there was, like, time for him to escape and, run down the hillside or try to rappel down the cliff or climb down, even though he got shot, he didn't do it. He just died there like a little bitch, a little wuss, and he let them take him out. So anyway, Blofeld. So Blofeld tells Bond that there's a secret that his girlfriend has, Madeline has. And when he finds out, it'll destroy him. Yeah, the secret is they made Bond a father. Bond was never meant to be a dad. Bond was never meant to tell dad jokes. Bond was never meant to have a dad gut and do dad things. Bond was meant to be cool, an adventurer, a ladies' man. That's what he was meant to do. Not all these other things that they. Yeah, the secret was bad writing. That was the secret. So, at the end of the film, Bond is in a situation where he has to open up a Cold War era or late World War II era missile silo. They can't even get it straight. They don't even know. M and Q, they don't know how old it is or what anything about the island. It's located between Japan and Russia, somewhere, some island. Sounds familiar, like You Only Live Twice, right? But anyway, so Bond doesn't follow Q's command. Q's telling Bond, look, this is an old Russian missile silo. It has an intricate set of buttons and levers. You need to follow my instructions. So what does he do? What does Bond do? While Q's going to try to give him instructions how to open the missile bay doors, he's flipping switches, pressing buttons, and then he pulls a lever. And then he runs out, and then he finds his child's bunny toy, and then he looks up and the doors start to close. Well, that's his own fault. His lack of attention to detail forced him to go back and do it again. But what they don't show you is, I wonder if he did it the same way, or did Q give him the instructions and they just skipped that for the lack of, or for the sake of speeding up the runtime of the movie that was already a long movie to begin with? I don't know. But again, that lack of attention to detail. So then the next thing is how Bond goes out. And it leads up to his just standing there waiting to be taken out by a series of cluster bombs. Like a wuss. So he's running through and they make this very John Wick-esque, okay? They could directly rip off of Keanu Reeves and John Wick. And they try to make James Bond John Wick and he's not. Which is another mistake. Trying to catch on to the, to what's hyped, what is hip and in style and of the current times, and people like the John Wick films and they like the action, the shooter action and the mix of martial arts. So John Wick's like 20 guys, okay? And there's this really cool scene where it's like the beginning of the Bond, it's the gun barrel scene where he goes down a corridor and he shoots a guy. You don't see whoever he shoots, but you know he shot somebody, right? So he does all this, he flips all the switches like a child, like a little kid, and pulls the lever, presses the buttons, whatever. The doors close, then he realizes, oh no, I've got to go back and I've got to, reopen the door. So this attack will actually work. The British Royal Navy will actually be successful in destroying this terrible virus that was created by the villain. This fake Dr. No, Safin, which, quite frankly, Rami Malek, he didn't do a bad job acting, and Daniel Craig did not do a bad job. They acted well. It's the script and the story and the writing that was terrible, okay? But anyway, so he heads back, and then he gets shot in, Rami Malek's little fish farm, and there's a struggle, and Bond has hand-to-hand combat with this guy, and Rami Malek has this insurance policy in his pocket, and what it is, it's a vial that has the nanobot virus in it that will target his girlfriend and daughter's DNA. And he smashes it on Bond's face, and it's in Bond's system. It's irreversible. Can't be reversed. But he has smart blood. Maybe the smart blood could have reversed it. Or maybe Q could have worked on it and helped him. But we'll never know, because this is what they wanted, okay? And it's Daniel Craig's last movie. I was never a fan of the smart blood anyway. But anyway, back to this. So he realizes it. He realizes, oh, I'll never be able to touch my wife, my future wife, now girlfriend, maybe fiance, and I'll never be able to touch my daughter again. Wah, wah, wah. What a cryberry. What a crybaby. What a crybaby Bond is, right? That's just ridiculous. It's very unbond. If anything, this was like a get out of jail free card for Bond. Like now, it's like, well, I can't touch that woman, but I can go touch any other woman I want and be with any other woman that I want. That's what Bond would do. Bond would have found another woman. As a matter of fact, there was an agent he met in Havana. Well, the way they should have ended this movie was they should have made it to where he's on the top of the missile silo. The bombs start going. You see him standing. Then they focus in on the bombs. And then they go back to where he is and he's gone. and then they think he's dead. His girlfriend and the daughter think he's dead. But then the movie ends, and he's in Havana, and he meets up with the female agent that he worked with in Havana. That would have been a suitable, appropriate ending for James Bond, because James Bond doesn't quit, and why not? I mean, if that would have happened, I would have said this would have been a good movie. It would have been not quite as good as Skyfall, not as good as Spectre, but somewhere below that, you know? But because they killed Bond off, this is the worst James Bond movie ever. I don't care what anyone's opinions are about the cheesiness and the quirkiness of the past 24 films, whether it was in the Roger Moore era, the Connery era, the Brosnan era. I'd rather watch Die Another Day than watch this. And I have. So that's it. And, you know, like, it's complete lack of continuity and lack of thought. I think, you know, this is just, to me, this besmirches Albert Broccoli's legacy with Bond and what he tried to bring to the public. What his daughter put out there, the creative decisions that they made, signed off on. I know why Danny Boyle left. He didn't want to be the director that killed James Bond. And if you think about it, this is like a fan fiction anyway, because this is the first movie that was directed by a non-British director. So it's not really James Bond, is it? It was directed by this Gary Fukunaga guy, who's an American director. So, not the real thing. Not the genuine article, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Daniel Craig was in it. But it's the same thing. Like, was The Last Jedi Luke the authentic Luke? No, it's their convoluted, silly attempt to elevate one character and diminish another. People that we know and care about, and that have cultural resonance with us. What does a character like Rey in Star Wars have? What lasting impression does she have? You know, how are those action figure sales going for Disney? Huh? How is that going for them? Anyway, it's the same problem. They take things that other people made, things that men made, and they run it into the ditch. It's like, here are the new shiny keys to my my Aston Martin DB5. Here you go. Take good care of it now, and as soon as they pull it off the parking lot, boom, they total it. Here are the keys to my brand new Lambo. Here you go. Enjoy it. That's exactly what they did. Just total that Lamborghini. Total it. So anyway, those are my thoughts. My message to everybody is if you are older, and if you were born before 1986, and if you were born in 1986 or after, and maybe to the mid-90s, you're not going to like this movie. If you grew up with Bond. See, I grew up with Bond. I saw the last 9 Bond movies in theaters, including this one. I've been seeing Bond films in the theater since GoldenEye, the first Pierce Brosnan film, and I've seen every Daniel Craig film in the theater. I even like Quantum of Solace, even though people hate Quantum of Solace. I like it. I understand they had adversity. I'm not going to knock them down because they had a writer's strike and they had trouble with the script. But this is trouble with the script that's just bad writing. Like, the writing in Quantum of Solace is not as bad as this. You cannot write Bond as a character this way. It doesn't work. It's not James Bond. It's a pseudonym. It's a pseudo Bond. It's not the real thing. They should have just ended Craig's tenure at Spectre. He should have ended it at Spectre. The story was told. There was no more to tell. And you know what? You know what's really frustrating about all this? They had 2 years to fix this problem and they didn't do it, which means that they were okay with the story. This is the story they wanted to tell. But this is the story that most true Bond fans didn't want to see. Because we know who James Bond is. We have 24 films telling us who James Bond is, not counting the novels. And I haven't read the novels, but I have seen all the films multiple times. So, this is probably going to be my last video on this channel, just to, say a few words about culture, pop culture in general. But skip this movie. Save your money. Let them know that you won't tolerate this, that this is unacceptable. Like, I have to think about the next couple of films that are coming out. Am I going to go see it? I want to see Dune. But I'm afraid they're going to screw that up too. So it's like, let my good memories suffice and leave it at that. I got to really think about what I'm going to see next, whether I'm going to actually see it in the theater or not. You know, there has to be some kind of consequence for meddling with people's myth. It doesn't. Once you put it out there, it belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to them. They may own the copyrights and the creative aspect of it, and whatever the commercialism side of it is, but they don't own the myth of it. It becomes a part of our culture. And you go in and you change a part of the myth and you degrade these characters. There are consequences for that. People will not tolerate it. I'm not tolerating it. I'm not spending any more money on these things anymore. Make up something new. Let's see you do a better job. Rather than trash an old franchise that has been successful for decades, let's see you produce something. You know, Barbara Broccoli, let's see you produce a film that's worthy of your father's name. Because this one was not. The other ones were. But this one got it wrong. You got it wrong. It's not courageous. It's not controversial. It's just wrong. And it's dull. And many people felt nothing when he died on screen. You already cashed in too many chips. You killed Felix in the beginning, you killed Blofeld, and then you killed Bond. You killed 3 major characters over the course of a single film? It's absurd. You made a miscalculation, and it's not going to work. And people are going to turn their backs, their collective backs, to you and close their wallets. Their wallets were open, and now they're going to be shut. They're going to be shut. Mine is going to be shut. I will not see the next Bond film. I don't care if they cast one of my favorite actors, Tom Hardy. I love Tom Hardy. I don't know who the next Bond's going to be, but I'm not going to see it because it's not necessarily the actor. It's the license that they take with the story and how they go against what it is. And that's the problem people have. And that's the problem I have with it. That's the problem I have with all these franchises that they've ruined. So anyway, that's it. See it, don't see it. I recommend you don't see it. Don't see No Time to Die. There's no time to waste your money on this unpolished turd that they had 2 years during the pandemic to fix, work out the story issues. They could have reshot something, but they didn't do it. And now they're probably not going to make all their money back because the word is out on the street that they killed James Bond.